Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into an incredibly fascinating topic, forced control and natural quietness. This was researched by Sachin Karnik. We're basically going to dismantle everything you thought you knew about mastering your own mind. We're looking at the profound difference between aggressively forcing your mind into submission and actually allowing it to discover a state of natural quietness. So if you've ever felt like you're just constantly at war with your own thoughts, well, buckle up, because this is going to be a completely paradigm-shifting exploration for you. Okay, let's just dive right into this. You've probably felt the sheer, heavy exhaustion of trying to discipline your own thoughts, right? I mean, you sit down, you try to focus, some unwanted feeling pops up, and bam, immediately you try to squash it. It's such a universal human experience. We spend, frankly, an incredible amount of psychological energy trying to wrestle our minds into a state of peace. But what if that very effort, the wrestling itself, is the exact thing keeping us so exhausted? Think about how we're traditionally taught to manage our minds. It's like we're treating it like a soldier on a parade ground. We use intense concentration, we actively suppress thoughts we've labeled as bad, we impose this rigid discipline, or we try to forcibly withdraw our senses with breath control and sensory withdrawal. We use these forceful methods to suppress anger, fight off jealousy, or just block out sadness. But the research really highlights a massive flaw here. While these methods might have some very specific, temporary uses, they are fundamentally built entirely on inner conflict. And this brings us to a really brilliant moment of friction. Ask yourself this, and really think about it. If you are fighting your mind, who exactly is the you doing the fighting? We always just assume there's this pure, independent controller sitting somewhere up inside our heads, totally separate from the anger or the fear, right? Just bossing it around. But our sources ask us to pause here and deeply investigate this assumption. Seriously, who is the censor? Well, here is the absolutely mind-shattering revelation from the sources. Get this. The controller is the controlled. Yeah, the you that's trying so hard to control the anger, it's actually just another fragment of your mind. It is made of the exact same memory, the exact same conditioning, and the exact same thought as the anger itself. It's not some higher, separate self floating above it all. It's literally just one part of your thought process trying to dominate another part of your thought process. All right, let's move on to section 1, the myth of self-control. So this sequence brilliantly illustrates how we literally create our own suffering. Step 1, an emotion like anger arises. Okay, that is the actual reality of the moment. But then, step 2, your mind instantly projects an ideal. It pulls up a memory of how you should behave, saying to itself, I should be calm like a Zen monk, even while your blood is absolutely boiling. And then step 3, because there is this massive gap between the reality of your anger and the ideal of calmness, a psychological struggle begins. The mind divides itself into a controller and something to be controlled, plunging us right into an inner battle. So here is the crucial takeaway. When you resist an emotion like jealousy or anger, you are actually feeding it the exact energy it needs to survive. The very struggle to fight a feeling gives that feeling continuity. Think about it for a second. Anger suddenly becomes accompanied by guilt. Then fear is followed by the fear of fear. And you just end up caught in this massive web of secondary emotions. All because you resisted the initial reality of what you were feeling in the first place. Okay, moving to section 2, the silence of constraint. Now, if you do manage to force your mind into submission, what you get is a constrained silence. It's this rigid, highly conditional state. Sure, you might feel a temporary quietness, but it relies entirely on continued conditions. Maybe you need a completely quiet room, or you have to constantly repeat a mantra in your head. The psychological controller is still down there, just burning energy beneath the surface to maintain order. It's exactly like holding a beach ball underwater. The moment your effort slips even a little bit, that disturbance shoots right back up to the surface. Let's look at section 3. Controller is the controlled. The observer is the observed. When you deeply, truly understand that the inner authority judging you is really just another passing thought, the whole artificial division collapses. The mind literally stops fighting itself. You finally realize that you aren't a separate entity standing completely outside of your jealousy, just looking at it. In that moment, you are the jealousy. And when there is no longer a separate me resisting the feeling, a profound psychological shift happens. Which brings us to section 4, choiceless awareness. So instead of adding yet another 5-step self-help technique to your daily routine, choiceless awareness is what the sources refer to as the via negative. It's a process of subtraction. You simply observe an emotion unfold without declaring it good or bad. No saying, I must keep this, or I have got to get rid of that. You are just wholly present with the feeling in the immediate moment. You're resting lightly in the experience without any hidden motive to change it. And here is what actually happens when you practice this. The emotion is allowed to arise and unfold completely naturally. Because you aren't actively fighting it, there is no secondary center, no internal controller continually renewing it with resistance. By just observing a feeling like anger, without indulging it and without condemning it, you literally starve it of energy. Without the fuel of your resistance, the emotion just naturally loses its power and subsides all on its own. It requires absolutely zero willpower. That leads us to Section 5, Discovering Natural Quietness. Look at the stark contrast between these two states. Forced control is this heavy, draining prison defined by constant effort and friction. It's entirely conditional. But natural quietness, it is completely spontaneous. It is a light, spacious freedom that arises effortlessly when you simply understand the structure of your own inner conflict. It's not something you manufacture or build, it's something that is instantly revealed when the false structure of the controller comes to an end. I absolutely love this analogy from the text. It is like the pool that becomes quiet when the wind stops. You cannot force a pool of water to be still by pushing on it with your hands, right? If you try that, you're only going to create more ripples. The mind works the exact same way. It becomes effortlessly quiet only when the winds of psychological resistance and internal division finally cease. And please remember this. This natural silence isn't some dull, zombie-like state where you can't function in the real world. Far from it. It is intensely awake, highly alert, and super intelligent. Your mind is finally free from that exhausting, compulsive inner commentary. But practical thought is completely available whenever you actually need it to solve a problem or communicate with someone. It is, exactly as the sources describe it, a profound union of beauty, power, and gentleness. So, I want to leave you with this final thought today. So much of our lives is spent desperately trying to dominate our own internal weather. But what if you just stopped the inner war today? If you simply observe your thoughts and feelings without choosing, without judging, and without resisting, watch what incredible truths reveal themselves to you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really challenge you to try just a little bit of choiceless awareness today.